Yeah.
So tell us, the thing that caught my eye about what you shared is that you're able to live in Brazil on 500 US per month. Tell us about that.
Yes.
Like, how much is your rent? How much are you talking
I've
about?
got it. I've got it all written down here.
Oh, wow. That's
What my
perfect.
budget is. $46 I budget for my medications. I do have to take 4 medications a day. Just one of those medications alone, if you have to pay for them, is $300 up in the United States. But I was worried about, oh my God, how much am I going to have to pay? My 4 meds are only total of $46 a month. I went to the public hospital, didn't ask me for anything except for my name, gave me an IV, gave me a CAT scan, and it was all entirely free. Brazilian Constitution guarantees free access to healthcare to everyone, even if you're a tourist.
So you're in Brazil, right?
Yes, I'm in the state of Bahia, Brazil, in the northeast of Brazil, in a small city about 3 hours from the state capital, Salvador. Here in Brazil, you either live in a big city like every state has a big capital, right, or Sao Paulo or Rio, or you live in what's called the interior, the hinterlands. I live in the interior of the state of Bahia.
This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, and we're excited today to have Michael online with us, and he's going to tell us about Brazil. Welcome to the channel.
The first thing you need to learn if you come to Brazil is to use the thumbs up sign. It communicates a million different things in Brazil.
All good, hopefully. All good. Resume. Oh, good. All good things, I hope. Thumbs up.
Yes, good things. Can mean thank you, good, see you later, all right, all sorts of things.
Very nice.
We use
Very nice.
When you're crossing the street and a car stops for you, you put up the thumb sign. For all sorts of things, we use it.
Very nice. So, Michael, where are you from? Where in the world are you from? You're in Brazil now, but where did you grow up?
I'm originally from New York City, Manhattan, but San Francisco. I moved to San Francisco at the age of 20, and I'm a month away from turning 68. So most of my life was in San Francisco.
Wow, you
proud
look great.
San Franciscan.
You look great. Congratulations on everything, really. Your move to Brazil and looking great at 68. So when did you decide to leave your home country, America?
Oh, probably when I was about 7 years old. I don't know why, but I was always attracted to the idea of traveling and living abroad. And I remember when I was a young child, 7, 8, 9, 10, being fascinated by atlases and maps. And when I was a child, I longed to travel and get out of the United States. My parents weren't much of travelers. We'd make trips within the United States, but not abroad. And so finally, when I was 19 and was independent enough and had my first job, I was able to make my first trip abroad. And I've been traveling ever since then.
Wow, that's great. You're ahead of me. I didn't realize I wanted to travel the world till I was about 8. So you're an early starter. So you mentioned in the comments in another video that you're living in Brazil on about $500 per month, and that you've been to all of the Latin American countries. What Latin American countries have you visited, and what would you say are your top 3 favorites?
Well, when I say I should clarify. When I say Latin American, I've been to every Spanish-speaking country and Portuguese. Obviously, there's only one, Brazil. I've been to every Spanish and Portuguese country in Latin America except one, and that's Costa Rica. And that's the one that everybody goes to. And I like to go in the opposite direction than everybody else. And Costa Rica just isn't. I'll get there someday, just so I can check it off. But my favorite country in Latin America is Mexico. Number 1, Mexico. It's in my heart and soul. I love Mexico. I lived there in the early 90s. I moved to Mexico. I left San Francisco. I moved to Mexico in 92 and got a full-time job there on my 3rd day there. And I thought I died and gone to heaven, to Mexico City. Taught English.
That's great. And so what is it about Mexico and your other top 3, if you will? What are the things you look for, or the things that you notice that makes them top countries for you?
They have to have a unique culture. My first, before I ever got to Mexico, I didn't want to go to Mexico. I had this stupid Hollywood image of a desert, someone leaning up against a cactus, or Tijuana.
Yeah.
And then when I finally went there the first time, I was amazed how diverse it is, how culturally rich it is, the literature, the food, everything is fascinating in Mexico. And the artesanitas, the arts and crafts. So Mexico is just so rich and varied. And if you get out of the tourist, the gringo ghettos, like Puerto Vallarta or Cancun, Mexico, I could find it as fascinating as India.
That's amazing, and I found that to be true too. So, what are a couple towns in Mexico that are your favorites?
Well, I love Mexico City. I'm from New York, originally from New York City, so big, crazy, chaotic, dynamic cities fascinated me. So I love Mexico City, lived there. I was then sent to work in the state of Veracruz, in the city of Veracruz. So I have a soft spot for the port of Veracruz. Oaxaca, also Oaxaca city and state are very dear to me.
Wow.
If I had a magic wand, I'd have a beautiful colonial home in Oaxaca. But recently in the last year or two, Mexico has tightened its rules, as you know, probably. It used to be an automatic 180 days. You could do it as often as you want. When I first moved to Mexico in 92, after 6 months or 180 days, I just take a bus up to the border, walk across the border, and then walk back and get another 6 months.
Right.
And then my employer got me a permanent visa, whatever it was called at that time. But you can't do that now. You're not guaranteed. You might only get 2 weeks when you arrive.
Right.
You might only get 10 days. You don't get the automatic 180 days anymore.
Yeah, and that really just started happening almost a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, 9 months ago. But just so you know, I've read recently, and I have a friend that lives in Quintana Roo, and she said that that they've begun issuing automatic 180s to everyone who comes. Have you heard about that?
Thank God. I have heard that too. I think that I saw that on a YouTube video recently, that they are loosening it a little bit. They must have gotten a million complaints, both from us foreigners and from locals. It must have affected their businesses.
I'll bet.
I used to go there and just spend money, and that I've been very hesitant lately because of that. So I hope that they continue to go back to the 180 days.
I do too. I hope it lasts. But the fact of the matter is, we're guests in other people's countries that we go to, and they can change the rules whenever they want.
Of course they can.
And we have to follow them. And I'm just happy to hear they're doing it again, and I hope it lasts, just like you.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
So now you're in Brazil. Mexico, they were awkward with their 180s, and now you're in Brazil. Yeah. Tell us, what is it you like about Brazil? Now that you're there.
Yeah. After Mexico, I started heading south. Kept visiting more and more Latin American countries until I got all the way down to Argentina. And then by that time, I had seen virtually all of Latin America, and only Brazil was left. So I said, okay, 1999, I go to Brazil, and it clicked. Something magical clicked. And since 1999, Brazil has been the star in my universe. So full of life and energy and craziness. And I love the language. I'm a fluent Spanish speaker, and now I'm a fluent Portuguese speaker. I went in 1999, and then I kept going. And, Brazil has also, you can get up to 6 months in a year. When you land, you're given 90 days, which is 3 months. And then you can go to the federal police office in the city that you're in and get it renewed for an additional 3 months, for a total of 6 months or 180 days.
Okay.
So I was able to be here for 6 months out of the year. And I was always very, very, very sad when the 180 days was coming up and I'd have to leave. And then, I go to Mexico, or I go back to San Francisco, and then I go somewhere else, and then come back. As soon as you have to leave for 180 days. You cannot, unlike Mexico, you cannot come back. Yeah. You have to stay out. So anyway, I met someone, and I got married. To make a long story short, I married a Brazilian. And married, when you marry in Latin America, you just don't marry your spouse, but you also marry the entire family. I've even, my last name, my name is now Michael Andrade. I even took her last name. And so I became eligible for become a Brazilian resident. But that was a little complicated. In 2011, I tried, and Brazil is wonderful. I love it, but like a lot of Brazil, Latin America, it's riddled with bureaucracy. Right. And oh my God, the bureaucracy to become a resident. I got stopped in my tracks when they wanted one proof of residence, why they cared where I lived. I'm a U.S. passport, I'm an American citizen, but you have to live in the consulate district. And I had to prove that I had lived in San Francisco for 1 year. By that time, I had been living there 40 years. But all of my household bills were in my best friend's name. So I had nothing, no phone bill, no gas bill, no electricity bill.
Right.
No, certainly not 12 months worth. And I was stopped in my track because of that. Now, I went home with my tail between my legs. I got my best friend to put my name on the water bill, but I felt deflated. And so I took like a 4-year break from Brazil and went to other places around the world, but it never left my mind. And I started coming back again. And finally, this year I said, I'm going to try again. And I had all of the paperwork ready for them. And I now have my permanent residency, legal residency here in Brazil, and I can live here. It has no expiration date. I can live here the rest of my life if I want to.
Wow! Congratulations, and it sounds like you're happy about it. The disappointment is gone.
The disappointment is gone. I mean, I took a little break, but I was still. I started coming back to Brazil, and I'd stay for the 6 months. And then leave. But I didn't like leaving. And now I don't have to leave anymore.
That's great.
Actually, tomorrow is my 6-month anniversary of returning to Brazil. And tomorrow I don't have to leave. I can stay for as long as I want. That's great.
So tell us, the thing that caught my eye about what you shared is that you're able to live in Brazil on $500 US per month. Tell us about that. Like, how much is your rent? How much are your utilities? Right. How does that all? Right. How does it come up?
I've got it all written down here.
Oh wow, that's perfect.
What my budget is.
Oh, nice.
Now I live on Social Security.
Okay.
Back in the day, I used to have some money.
Okay.
I'm not good with money. I'm not a long-term thinker or planner. I live for the moment, and so I went through all my money. But now I'm Social Security age. I get rounding it off, $1,500 a month. Lovely. Is what I get.
Great.
But I made this budget. I wanted to show that it is very, very possible to live here on $500 a month. And sometimes I do. Now since I get $1,500, I can spend more on entertainment or other things. But I can go a whole month on $500.
Okay.
Now I live here. My rent. I'll start with that. I live in a beautiful, brand new condominium, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, brand new, a little garden, private garden. There's a huge swimming pool, a gym, and a condo complex. For all of that, I pay $170 a month.
Wow. Now, is that shared? Do you have like a roommate? Is that shared, or how does that work?
No. Well, I have a spouse. To give the whole picture, we're separated now.
Okay.
But we're still family, and we're still legally married. And she lives in the capital city of Salvador. I go there whenever I want to, stay at her house. So I live alone here. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I have my roommate is a cat.
Okay.
And here I have a gym and a beautiful swimming pool. There's a kind of a barbecue and bar area. And as I said, my rent is $170 a month, all by myself, all to myself.
Congratulations.
Now, I want to make one point is that when I can remember when Brazil, right around 210, 211, 212 was extremely expensive. It was like living in Paris or London, but without the amenities of Paris and London. Why? Because it was called the Brazilian miracle. It was the Brazilian boom, and Brazil was selling all of its raw materials to China. Was hungry for everything Brazil had to offer, and the Brazilian real, almost got to parity with the dollar. So everything was outrageously expensive. Now we all know what's happened in the world. The real is down to less than, you get more than 5 reales, or 𝐿𝐻 in Portuguese. You get more than 5 𝐿𝐻. So everything's gone from extremely expensive to very, very affordable. And that's why my rent is only 170 a month.
Wow.
For 2 bedroom, 2 bath. And it's a closed private security closed condominium. Electricity, I pay approximately $40 a month.
Right.
That's a little high. My brother-in-law always scolds me for having such a high electricity bill, but that's because I always have the fan on.
Okay.
I don't have air conditioning, but I always have a fan on, and I frequently have the TV on YouTube. There's in my city, small city, nobody. I'm the only foreigner here, and I like that. But I have no one to speak English to, so my only English exposure is from YouTube. The water bill comes to $20 a month. Internet, good, strong, unlimited internet, $14 a month.
Wow.
Cell phone, great cell phone service, unlimited, $10 a month. Food, I budget $120 a month. I'm a vegetarian. Brazil is the land of tropical fruits and fresh, gorgeous vegetables. And so you can eat very well and very cheaply and very healthily here in Brazil for not much money.
Wow.
So I get budget $120 for food, $46 I budget for my medications.
Okay.
About 3.5 years ago, up in San Francisco, I had a stroke, much to my shock. And I'm fine now, no problems, but I do have to take 4 medications a day. Just one of them alone I was a little worried about that, because obviously I can't get Medicare here.
Right.
But one of those medications alone, if you have to pay for them, is $300 up in the United States. Right. Now I got it for free on Medicare, but I was worried about, oh my God, how much am I going to have to pay? My 4 meds are only total of $46 a month. You can just, you don't need a prescription, just like in Mexico and a lot of places in Latin America. You just go to the drugstore, show them what you want. As long as it's not a psychotropic medication, you can get anything you need and want for very low. They're generic, Brazil
Amazing.
is very good at saying.
That's great. So what now? You mentioned, is that you said it's free for you now, right? Is that Brazil that's giving it to you?
Okay.
Or?
No, it's free up in the United States.
Okay.
With Medicare.
Okay.
But here, no, it's not free. But it's $46 a month is what I pay for meds. But let me tell you about the healthcare system here. I've gone to the doctor twice in the 6 months I've been here. I got severe dehydration here. I wasn't drinking enough liquids, and it's hot. I thought I was having another stroke. It felt like a stroke. I went to the public hospital. They took me right away, didn't bat an eye, didn't ask me for anything except for my name, gave me an IV, gave me a CAT scan, and it was all entirely free. The Brazilian Constitution guarantees free access to healthcare to everyone, even if you're a tourist, even if you're a foreigner, even if you're just on a resident visa like I am.
That's great.
It's amazing, coming from the United States. Is it, the free, it's called SUS. Is it fabulous? No, I don't know if I'd want to have brain surgery. Sometimes you have to wait a long time in the waiting room.
Right.
It could be a little hectic, especially if you're getting care in the big city.
Right.
But it's there. It's there if you need it. And as I said, my experience was great. Another time I just had a small thing. I needed a dermatologist, and I went to a private doctor, and that was like $20.
Okay.
To get a small thing removed from my face. So I find healthcare extremely accessible. Will I someday in the near future investigate getting private insurance? Yes, I'm going to try, but it's not necessary.
So who do you pay the $46 to, and how do you get the meds?
No, I paid. The pharmacy for the 4 medications.
Right.
The most expensive one costs $20.
Oh, so in Brazil, you're not having them shipped from Medicare. You're buying them in the pharmacy for $46 a month in Brazil.
Nice.
Nice.
And I can virtually, and $46 most of us can afford that.
Yeah.
Hopefully
yeah,
everybody's got good health and they don't need any kind of prescription medicine. But if you
absolutely,
do,
yeah. Right.
and as I said, I didn't need to get a prescription. My brother-in-law just took me to the pharmacy. They didn't bat an eye. I just showed them my American prescription. I showed them the bottle
Right.
from Walgreens. They
Yeah.
looked at it and they got me the Brazilian equivalent, which are generics here.
That's great.
So it was a huge relief to me, and so glad. That was another good reason I'm so glad I make this change.
That's amazing. Good. So, what other expenses have you not mentioned? I
There's one
interrupted
more
you.
expense. There's one more expense. I pay my niece-in-law, I guess, my brother-in-law's daughter. She's 18. Years and years ago, I bought a little working class house here. I've since given it to my brother-in-law, and now his 18-year-old niece just moved into it, and I pay her rent. Her rent is $80 a month for a 2-bedroom house with a bathroom and a backyard. That's
Wow.
how cheap rents are here. So that brings my total monthly expenses to 2,500 reais or $500 US dollars a month.
Wow, amazing.
Now, I sometimes I live on that, and of course, since I get 1,500 a month, I've got a whole 1,000 to play with. Everybody should know when you first move to a new country, your first few months are going to be your most expensive months. You know that,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially if you're setting up a new apartment. If you're moving into an Airbnb or a furnished apartment, you don't have all these expensive. But this place was completely unfurnished. I had to buy couch, table, refrigerator, stove, bed, et cetera,
Right.
So, but I had that whole $1,000 a month cushion to buy those things. Some of them I
Right.
bought used.
Right.
They have an equivalent of Craigslist here where you can find
Perfect.
things.
Perfect.
So your first few months where you move someplace new, you've got don't beat yourself up because you've gone over your budget. Your
Right.
first
Right.
few months.
Right.
After about whatever it takes, 3, 4, 5 months, then you'll settle in. And if you want to live on $500 a month, you can.
Right. That's amazing. That's amazing.
And I'm
So-
I'm
Go ahead.
also able to save money every month because I do want to do some traveling within Brazil
Right.
within the next few months.
500 is an amazing number. I mean, it gives hope to people. And so that's amazing.
Yes. I always say, if you feel trapped, depressed, overwhelmed, especially if you're older because of the cost of living in the United States and inflation right now, there are alternatives. Well, that's one of the main purposes of your channel is to give people that message. And that's also what I tell people, just leave the United States.
So one of the things people always ask them is, well, you can't leave the United States because the world's a dangerous place. What's your feeling about Brazil where you live? Do you feel safe there? What's the feeling?
Good question. Brazil, as you probably know, has a terrible reputation.
Yeah.
As a very dangerous country.
Right.
So does Mexico.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what my advice is, don't be a victim of the media. If it bleeds in the United States, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah, that's right.
We're all inundated with, pain, suffering, torture, and bloody bodies, and that you're going to be murdered and raped when you walk out your front door.
Yeah.
So a friend gave me a good piece of advice. Always divide that kind of information in half.
Yeah.
And you'll be closer to the reality. I've been coming to and living in Brazil for 22 years now. I'm alive. I'm well. People are friendly. People are full of life and joy.
Right.
I had one little experience where I got mugged about a year into living in Brazil way back in 2002 or something. And it was my own fault. I walked down a street where I was told not to walk at night, and I let my guard down. I was carrying a couple big bags of groceries, but I didn't get. They took my wallet. But the very instant I handed the wallet, an unmarked police car drove by, caught the 2 robbers, gave me back my wallet, to ask me to come down to the police station. Both of the robbers were arrested and put in jail, and the police after getting my report, they gave me some nice postcards of the city and wish me well.
Wow.
That was my horrible experience in Brazil. But
That's great.
one thwarted robbery in 22 years. So
Wow.
just don't be afraid. The same thing in Mexico, you know. The only time I ever had in Mexico was with the police.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
again, I'm alive and well, and you can laugh about it. I never got bothered by robbers or you know, kidnappers or drug traffickers in Mexico. It was only the police.
Yeah,
you know, they're not going to harm you. They're just going to try to get some cash out of you.
They're going to try to get a bribe from you. Yeah.
Bribe. Yes. Yes.
Well, good. And so looking back, now you've done a lot of travel, you know, in many different parts of around Latin America, it sounds like. And what sort of advice do you have for somebody that's thinking about living outside or retiring outside of their
good point. First, first make an expeditionary trip.
Right.
Don't just move someplace without finding out whether you like it or not. Go there, rent an Airbnb. I've stayed in Airbnbs all around the world for as little as $11 a night.
Right.
And Airbnb to me is a great thing. Go down for a month or 2 months or 3 months and find out if you like it before you make a commitment. And YouTube, I think, is a great resource. Your channel being a good example.
Right.
I've done all your videos. And, you know, do a lot of research, go down, explore, and then find out if you really are got the bug. I got the bug for Mexico, and I got the bug for Brazil. I also have a big bug for India.
Oh, nice. Those are all
there someday.
Those are all
that
great,
was at 20. I made that famous overland trip that you could do back in the day from London to Calcutta overland. Of course, you can't do that now, but that's when I got the bug.
Right. Wow, what a great life you had. It almost seems silly to ask, but are you happy?
Yes, yes. Content.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Bye. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Click the link in the notes below this video to get a copy of this content. Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 Years. While you're there, check out our catalog of retired cheap reports all over the world and our hobby income course that we just released. Thanks so much.